Hello and welcome to today's graphic design tip of the day. For today's tip, I'm going to show you how to animate a photo using Adobe Photoshop. So we're going to start by unlocking our layer. If it's not already, just click the lock icon on the right hand side. And I'm going to make a selection of the area that I want to actually animate. So I'm going to do this by going over to my toolbar and turning on our mask. And using my brush tool set to black, a nice fuzzy edge brush so that I can have soft edges as I go through this. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this water down here. And I also want to animate some of these clouds up at the top. So I'm going to do them both at the same time. However, you can do these separately if you want them to go different directions or one a little bit faster than the other to give it a more realistic look. Once you have your selection made, you can turn your mask off. You can see that the selection is there. And I'm going to go to Select, Inverse, so I select the opposite, so only those two pieces are the ones selected. And I want to copy and paste those on a new layer. So using my new layer button, I'm going to add a layer onto the layers palette and make sure I'm still on my original layer. Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. Go to my new layer and Control V or Command V if you are on a Mac to paste that in place. So you can see that now if I hide my background layer, I have my selections that I just made on a separate layer above it. All right. So now let's go ahead and start the animation process. If I go to Window and down to Timeline, you can open up your animation options, and I'm going to push that one back to the start. I'm not sure why it was forward. And I'm going to shrink this one down just a little bit so it matches up with the original. All right, great. So let's start this animation. If I right-click on my layer that I want to animate, I need to turn this into a smart object, so convert to smart object. Okay. And now when I drop down my options next to my layer here, I'm going to see the option for transform. So clicking on that once, I'm going to drop that first keyframe. And if I drag over on my timeline all the way to the end, I now want to make my transformation or move whatever I want to move so that it slowly transitions over all of these frames. So I'm going to actually transform the sky and the water by going to Edit, Transform, and Scale. I'm going to hold down Shift to make sure it stretches disproportionately this time, so it moves across the space. Okay, and then I'm going to drop my second keyframe at the end here after I apply that transformation. So if I went through and played what I just did, you can see that the clouds and the water are now moving, and like I said, I could do this to multiple sections. They would show up as different layers down here, so I could have one moving one way, one moving another, slower, faster, to give it a more realistic feel. When you're completely done with your animation, you're going to go to File and down to Export and over to Export As. Here you can see the option to save it as a GIF file if you're interested in doing that. And our other option is if you wanted a full MP4 file is to go to File and down to Export and over to Render to Video. And here we can choose our options of the quality of the video that you want, and you can adjust the size and everything and save it as the name that you want. Okay, and when I open up that MP4 file, you can see that I now have that moving image, and I am ready to go to use that wherever I need it. I hope you enjoyed today's graphic design tip of the day.